this, but
you're gonna have to set this up.
Okay,
because this is so obscure.
Okay, well, let's just watch this footage for a second, okay, and then we'll explain it. Okay, we've got to start with that eagle screech once again. So let's just go a little bit back.
It sounded like ducks to me.
Well, yeah, let's see. Okay, here it goes.
New shipping hub in Northeast Asia, reaching the world from Northeast China, port of Dandong.
Okay, so the port of Dandong thing is a bit of a long-running joke. We'll actually show you the advert, but any foreigner that lived in China, I don't know, circa 2006 all the way up to about 2014, thereabouts, 15, would have seen that advert. It's every time you stay in a hotel, every time you turn on the TV, somewhere along the lines, if you're watching an English channel, like CCTV4 used to be English, then it changed to CCTV9, right?
Yes.
Whenever you're currently, watching the TV in English, it'll pop that ad on. So everybody knows this damn Port of Dandong advert. It's freaking annoying. But that's not actually what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is China has just released its newest aircraft carrier, which you can see over here. Now, there's some very important things about this new aircraft carrier. Okay, first of all, this is the unveiling ceremony, of course, that you can see going on here. But it's China's first real sort of homegrown aircraft carrier. I mean, when we say real homegrown one, it means it's not a direct copy of a Soviet aircraft carrier. Okay, because their first aircraft carrier that they ever released back in 2012, I believe it is. Okay, let's just talk about the Port of Dandong.
Can I say something about this?
Yeah, sure.
So I've seen this probably 2,000 times.
At least.
Maybe more.
At least.
It was the most played thing I've ever seen in my life. They really wanted people to ship out of Dandong, which is right next to North Korea, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's right up there. Should we just play the ad?
Yeah, let's see it first.
Okay, we'll get back to the aircraft carriers in a minute, guys. All right, so here's the Port of Dandong. Is it coming? We got to just also, first of all, talk about the fact that ducks don't screech like a freaking eagle.
I thought we were just going to play it out and then criticize that. But yeah, they literally put a red-tailed hawk screech.
It's actually, it's a red-tailed hawk.
Over ducks flying from a pond.
Yes.
And that's Port of Dandong.
I feel like those ducks, that footage isn't from China anyway.
Absolutely not. There's no ducks there.
Right.
There's only ducks on duck farms. You know what's funny is actually did I tell you? It was probably a few months ago.
Okay.
I had a debate with a Chinese friend about, we were talking over WhatsApp, and she said that ducks cannot fly, like physically incapable. So I sent her video of me in a park here, showing her ducks flying, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "What? That's not a duck." And I'm like, "These are ducks."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, ducks do not fly." Because she was convinced, because ducks are only on duck farms in China.
Yeah.
You've seen that, and they have those nets around.
Yeah,
so I never see them fly.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we got the ducks flying.
New shipping hub in Northeast Asia, reaching the world from Northeast China, port of Dandong.
Port of Dandong became like a massive meme in the expat community.
Yeah, because everybody's seen it.
Everyone knows.
No one cares about it.
No one has ever looked up more information after that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Think about it, like, okay, if you're somebody who does logistics or something, you got a big logistical company, maybe you would. But the majority of foreigners sitting in China, there are like English teachers, backpackers.
Even businessmen, they're not going to go use Port of Dandong.
No, they won't. Like, that's not their business.
No.
Their shipping logistics will be taken care of by
the locals,
like actual logistics companies.
And they should make a freaking Chinese version of Port of Dandong commercial, because if you think about it, just think about this for 2 seconds. There are not very many foreigners in China. I think it's less than 1% of the entire population.
Yes.
Yet they had this running all day, every day for more than 10 years.
Yes. Yeah. I remember there's a rather derogatory thing about some girl that they ended up calling the Port of Dandong that was hanging out all the foreigners. But anyway.
For real?
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's go back to the aircraft carriers. We now have, in 2012, they released their first aircraft carrier, which is not a Chinese aircraft carrier. It's a retrofitted Soviet aircraft carrier.
Looks cool. It goes like a half pipe. It's like whoosh.
Yeah, it's a different launching system.
Sure.
So it's got this
Not
kind
those
of ramp.
catapults.
Yeah, that was called the Liaoning.
Yeah.
And, it was China's first ever aircraft carrier. They made a huge deal out of it. But there was also a lot of issues reported later on because when it would come into, to port to stay in certain places, people take photographs, see a lot of rust.
What was the Minsk one? That one I went
It's the same class.
Where is that one now?
It's still hanging out there.
It's still hanging out. Okay.
It's kind of abandoned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a Minsk class. Anyway.
It's called that. Okay.
So it's pretty much, I think it's the same thing. Anyway, in 2017, they released their second one, which is called the Shandong. Okay. Yeah. And these are, by the way, are province names. Yeah, of course. So let's take a look here, which was the first homegrown, so to speak. But I got to ask you something here. Okay. I'll show you in a second. See, they got that kind of...
It's like a half pipe.
Yeah.
It's like a quarter pipe.
It's just a different way of
I
launching.
want to do some sick tricks off of it.
The thing is, that homegrown one, the Shandong, is exactly the same as the Liaoning. If you look at it...
it's not homegrown.
It is. It's fully Chinese built.
Oh, okay. I got you. It wasn't donated, you're saying.
Yeah. But if you look at them side by side, it's like a carbon copy.
Right.
But this one is different, okay? This new one that's just been released, which is called the Fujian.
Fujian is the province, by the way. Can I throw this in there?
Sure.
Is the province that faces Taiwan. So just think about that.
There's also something else that's kind of significant, is if you travel around the world and you find Chinese people in Japan, for instance, or in the UK or wherever you go.
I was actually recently, again, in Ithaca.
Yeah.
And I met Chinese people yet again from Fujian.
Yeah.
Runaway immigrants, though.
It's
stowaways.
Historically, it has been a place for people to escape China from. Okay, and to travel out of China from, because it's on the coast.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the Fujianese people are very well traveled.
Yes.
Like out of all the people in China, the Chinese people that made it across the world the most are people from Fujian. So I think that they called it this for a reason, because this is now their aircraft carrier that can go, all the way out there and go everywhere. There's a couple of things that we need to point out, though. I want you to look carefully at the footage. Because this is now they've released it. Oh, here's our new aircraft carrier. It's done type thing. It's completely hollow. There's nothing inside any of this stuff. These kind of, what would you call them? Tents almost that you've got on the deck are covering up the launch ramps. Yeah. Because they, for the first time ever, have actually put in electromagnetic catapults. That's what they say. There's no evidence of it here. You can't see it. No. And they're either blocking that because they don't want anyone to, get the military intel or whatever.
Dimensions or something, even though all satellite imagery is going to see that.
Or it's not there yet, which is what I'm betting on. Because if you take a look at the state of this, if you really take a look at the state of this aircraft carrier. Oh, by the way, these are the previous, the Liaoning and the Shandong. You see what I mean? I'll get us out of there. You see what I mean by they're just the same thing? Yeah. Absolutely everything about them is the same.
But one was Russian built and one was
one was a retrofitted Soviet one, or Russian one, whatever you want to call it. And then one was completely built in China, the Shandong. Okay. Anyway, so this new one that's come out, like I said, take a close look. And you'll notice that it's very far from being completed as far as I can tell.
They're celebrating that it's...
Yeah, they've just launched, done that whole ceremony.
But all the propaganda banners, though.
I mean, look, the paint's not even dried on it. But look at that command tower. I got to say, if you look at that, it looks like it's a hollow structure. Yeah. Isn't a roof on it, and you can look right down into it. I don't think that's normal. I feel like it's like a prop. Like a ghost city when you've got those empty, you know what I mean? Those like empty buildings, just like a concrete husk, but it's got a veneer on it. Yeah. It kind of looks like that, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
I'm not saying...
It's kind of chop it off, yes.
Look at the paint's not dry there yet. There are no actual parking bay markings on it or whatever. But the reason why I'm pointing this stuff out, I'm not trying to be petty here, because sure, it's probably going to end up being all completed soon. Of course. But the fact that now, if you look at the press, everyone's like, oh my goodness, China has just released an aircraft carrier that rivals U.S.
That's what
aircraft
I keep
carriers.
seeing. This is actually what came up on my radar, no pun intended, was that people were reaching out saying like, uh-oh, better report on this. Like China just made an aircraft carrier that competes with the U.S. and stuff. And then I had you look into it.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it and like, this is not going to compete with anything right now. It's not finished.
Not at the moment. No.
It's just not finished yet. Like from all this, and this is current footage. There's a couple of things about this as well, which don't stack up. Like the fact that it's not nuclear powered.
No, it's diesel, right?
It's conventional, uses
Yeah.
conventional propulsion, which probably means diesel or whatever other
Sure.
kind of fuel. It's got a range of 10,000 nautical miles, I believe, which is a lot. You could go around the globe or whatever. But the thing is, you are still kind of subject to refueling.
Yeah.
So if there was a prolonged conflict and it got out there in the world somewhere in the seas and, they couldn't get a refueling tanker or something to it, then they'd be dead in the water. Whereas the US equivalent aircraft carrier is nuclear powered and can run indefinitely. There's no range to it. It just can keep going as long as
you're
you
talking about you have supplies flowing
as long as
in.
you get supplies flown in. I mean, let's be honest. Like if the people really needed to, they could fish off the side. I'm just saying. Like you're stuck out there, whatever. But you absolutely will need food supplies and fresh water and all that. But they've got desalination and stuff built into it, and it's all that kind of nonsense aside. There still are quite a few differences between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So for everyone to come out and say, "Oh my God, look at this! China's just released an aircraft carrier that rivals
That's what I'm seeing.
and is exactly the same or better than the American counterparts,"
Right.
it's not true because, again, none of the technology has been tried and tested yet, battle tested. The paint's not even dry, as you can see from this footage. The control tower is still hollow.
This just came out, by the way,
Yeah,
from state media.
Yeah, this is state media put this out. If you go back to this footage that I was showing a little earlier, where you can actually see the control tower, look closely. Like the windows are completely hollow and empty, and you can't
know what it
see any
reminds me
equipment in there.
It reminds me of a ghost town.
Yeah, like I
those
said
apartment
earlier.
blocks.
Yeah, just like a concrete shell. Look at that. You can see right through it. So what I'm just trying to say here is that it's too early to jump the gun and say, hey, guys, look, it's ready. We can't see the runways. We can't see the catapult systems. They may not exist.
Yeah. Right.
So,
the thing is, when I was looking at the spec sheets, it's like uses so-and-so catapult system, but it's not there.
Yeah, well,
So
we can't see.
Well, but I'm saying like then let's see it, right?
It can travel up to 56 kilometers an hour.
Well, let's see it.
Let's see it.
it's
Where's
still
the
docked.
tests? Yeah, it's not out there yet, right?
No.
Like, how do we know this stuff? It can carry, what was it, like 84 planes or something like that. Well, let's see it. That's the thing. Again, people are just taking China's word for it and running with it, and people are going like, "Oh my goodness, it's so terrible." There's this like really big aircraft carrier out there.
Not to mention another thing that's really important is I think most people don't realize the scope of corruption within the Chinese military. It runs like the rest of the country. It's incredibly corrupt, and there's so much cost cutting, so many pockets being lined to the point where I'm telling you guys. The richest people in the country are military generals. Unlike in the West, which they make a salary.
Sure.
Right? The people, when you meet a PLA military general, their kids drive Ferraris, and they live in the utmost wealth you've ever seen.
Yes.
Right? So you have to keep that in mind. How are they getting the wealth? Well, it's cost cutting. Things like, and I'm not saying none of this is going to work.
Of course.
I'm not saying that China has a very large and scary military. Of course they do.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to be taken with a grain of salt.
Right.
You can't just look at spec sheets and say, okay, this is how it's gonna work.
Yeah. I mean, it's dangerous to discount, the Chinese military because, of course, their technology works. Of course,
They are a force to be reckoned with.
They've got very dangerous technology when it comes to, mainly because they've successfully copied very good technology that's out there. So they've got a copy of it, and they're very good at adding new extra features like drone spoofing or, there's a lot of stuff that the Chinese military can do to really make their military formidable.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't
adding on new stuff.
And you can't just say like, look, it's rubbish. It's not a threat. You have to treat it as a real threat if you're a military person. Absolutely, but at the same time, if you know China well enough, and if you look at this footage and so on, you also realize that there's a lot of hype about nothing right now.
It's for a reason, right? It's propaganda. It's quotas. Somebody said we have to get this out at a certain date.
Yeah, especially with the tensions with Taiwan right now.
New shipping hub in Northeast Asia. Reaching the world from Northeast China. Port of Dandong.